Hey everyone, Maria here from the EditorX team. Welcome to our latest demo. It's going to be all about how we built the latest iteration of the Grow conference website. We'll kick off in just a few minutes, but before that, please get comfortable. We're just giving everybody a bit of time to join. Grab a coffee, now's your chance, or water, tea, whatever you're having. And once you settled in, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know what you're interested to learn, where you're joining us from. I'm actually in Ireland at the moment, where it's gloriously sunny for once. And yeah, thanks for joining. We hope that this session will be useful for you no matter what level you're at with EditorX, whether you're just getting started or you're a power user. There should be something for everybody. Hey, Tel Aviv. I can see folks starting to introduce themselves. Just a note that if you do want to chat, just make sure that you select the option that lets everybody see your chat messages. That'd be great. It's just in the Zoom panel itself. And if you do have any questions throughout about the kind of like process behind the design or about any EditorX features, there's a specific Q&A box you can use. And if you write your questions there, then we can address them throughout the webinar and as we go along. And if we have some time, we'll do some dedicated time for Q&A at the end. Welcome to everybody just joining us. As I mentioned, we'll be getting started in a few minutes. Great to have you all here. Hello, hello. Oh, folks from all over so far.
Cool.
Yeah. Iryna is waiting in the wings to do our demo for us. Great. Welcome, folks. Cool. And just to address it, because we always get this question, we will be sending out a recording of the demo afterwards. So no need to worry if you want to watch it back in your own time, or if you just want to catch up. That'll be sent out to you just as soon as it's ready afterwards. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Amsterdam. A lot of American and European representation, and Tel Aviv, not to forget Tel Aviv. Never. Hey. Great. Okay, so I'll just get started with a little bit of housekeeping. Hey everyone again, my name is Maria. I'm joining you from the EditorX team. I'm really excited today to share with you guys a live demo of how we built the new Grow conference website. If you want to check it out before we dive into the demo itself, the URL you can go to is grow-ecom.com. So that's grow-ecom.com. I'll also pop it in the chat. But yeah, so we'll have a design expert from our team, Iryna, joining us to show you the process, including the EditorX features that she used to bring the site to life. And lots of you actually sent us great questions in advance, so thank you so much for that. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can, both throughout the session and at the end. But if you do want to ask any specific product questions as we go along, we encourage you to use the Q&A box in Zoom. That just lets us kind of keep track of all the questions that have been asked and address them as we go. If you just want to chat generally, you can use the webinar chat, and just make sure that you set the visibility to everyone so we can all enjoy what you have to say. I mentioned this before, but we'll be recording the session and we'll send out a recording to everybody who registered afterwards. And as well as that, if there are any concepts that you're interested in learning more about after the webinar, any of the features or the techniques that we mentioned, we'd encourage you to visit the Academy X. That's available at editorx.com/academy, and you'll find tons of resources there on just about every aspect of the platform and responsive design. Yeah, and I think that pretty much covers it. And if that's all I have at the moment, but Iryna, I'll hand it over to you so we can get started.
Whoa.
Yay!
Hello everyone, I'm Iryna and I'm a designer in a Wix agency. And during my journey, I have created a lot of interesting and creative projects, as well as collaborated with big clients like Dribble, for example. And today I want to show you one of the biggest projects that we work this year so far, Grow. Grow is a community of e-commerce professionals hosting e-commerce conferences for marketers in US, and our new website for them features dedicated event pages, agendas, blogs, and let's have a look for our main page. So now the first key challenge was creating an STA in the shape of the ticket. It should be responsive, having inside out tickets, and also hovering out effect, and it should be sticky. So this was a pretty challenging thing to do. This is the one thing that we're gonna explore today on our webinar. The next interesting thing here, we have a blue section that has a sticky container behind. So when you scroll, you see the photos and the content stays sticky. There's also a huge button. There's a small interactions on the hover, also really cute. There's a green section about section. So there's scrolling text, and when you scroll, it's covered the green section. It's possible with overflow hidden content. The next page I want to show you is about page. We can see on the welcome page a big blue swirl is one of the kind of branding feature of the site, and primarily want to use it on a home page, but we use it on about. And here you can see a little brief story of founders, numbers of subscribers and members of the community, a photo of events, and also the people behind the Grow. The next page I want to show you is a contact page. Here we were a little bit more creative, use a huge arrow to show that we can fill our form to submit for event. There's also Instagram feed where you can subscribe and see how the event's going on. And last but not least, Grow held at least 4 e-commerce events during the year so far. We has created for each event page. They all the same, they different just in colors and the content. So let's go to see, for example, late spring page with which we will gonna work today. So in this page, we can see a lot of most unique and interesting examples of interactions. And now our key points for today's webinar will be creating a video mask that you can see here on the welcome fold, hovering out effect, and sticky position for ticket here. The next thing we're going to create is layout with text and emojis, and also with hover interaction that apply on the text and emojis itself. And the last but not least, the most fun part, it's we're going to create a printing effect pop-up for our ticket in the footer. So this is 5 VH viewpoint height container with a ticket underneath, and the section is sticky. So when we scroll the page, ticket is overlapping the section and creating a feeling that the ticket is literally printing. This kind of effect we're gonna create today. So we find out their structure, interactions, value, and eventually recreate step by step. And in order to be aware of all events agenda, I want to show you the design process in a brief. The key point of the project were a playful interaction and prominent branding. And as a designer and builder of this project, I should have created a special visual language and to find out the way to implement this language in Editor X. And as a client's main values was communication, cheerfulness, brightness, boldness. During my research of design inspiration, I try to find examples that can reflect these values. This is a result like bright colors, big characteristic typography, handwritten elements, and also the physical ticket. That was my inspiration for this project. And after I had collected all the inspiration, I started to cut out and making collages. I took my favorite elements for each inspiration and cut them from the original and started to play around with them to try to find new composition and ideas. And after I created my perfect layout, I replaced the cutouts with original content. my fonts, my colors, text, and images. And for example, as you see, I was obsessed with the idea of main screen with a huge swirl and have an STA with a physical ticket. And I also like the idea of big typography, big headline on above the page. So I take all these things that I love from this inspiration, I try to mix it on my own and try to find a new layouts and composition. This design approach method is called Frankenstein, which was invented by our amazing art director, Liad. This approach let us create great amount of unique layouts decision in very short time period and encourage you to break your limits and stay open-minded during the whole design process. And next step was using all the collage cut out to create a 2-row and different sketches to pick up one direction. This is also a little snap of my exploration of a welcome fold. And then the final design was a fusion of 2 directions that I get created. So like, for example, the main fold was supposed to be with swirl, but I use it on about page. This is about section, I use it. And there's 2 words that implement, and it's really often happened when you have a 2 direction, you make fusion of different direction in one. So as you already get acquainted with the design process, site structure, and the task for today's webinar. So let's move on to our practical part. And let's start with the video mask. I will show you again how it looks so we can remember what we're going to do. On the welcome fold, we have a video mask and a ticket, and we will start from the video mask. So before, let's find out the structure of the section we have here. We have here a section where we have a header, and then the section is divided into 2 rows. When the first row we have a scrolling text set on max content, and the second row set on 100 VH. And our mask is in second row, as well as our ticket. So now as we know where it's situated, let's move to our practical part. Now we reach to plus in the top left corner to find out the video. And in the video settings, we can find a new feature of Editor X, is mask. This is a new feature of Editor X. As you can see, there is a lot of different varieties of mask that you can use, but I will use my mask that I prepared before. You can create your SVG file and download it as well. You have a mask and mask to shape. Now, as you can see, the video becomes the mask, the form of the mask. And now let's stretch it to the size of our row. And now let's make sure that it's set the right order of our layer panel. Here, now the text is not overlapped by video. And let's change the video also. Let's go to my folder and update. As you can see, there's no distance between the age of the row and the video. You can edit it really fastly. You can go in a docking system here, and we can undock it, and we can set the top margin, for example, 80 pixels, and you fastly have this distance between the age of the row and the video itself. The last but not least, for this thing, we're gonna use a design effect for the video. If you go in the design panel here in the right corner, you can see that we can use different effects. For example, I want to use a pattern overlay. When you click here, you see the toolbar you can activate, and you can see there's a lot of different effects on the video that you can apply. I personally like the noise effect. It's matched with my design, so I will use it. And another thing you can change is a play button design. You can click on a play button, change the play button, and also check which design you like more. I like this eye, and I also can change the colors here in the panel. White is looking good as my design, so I will use it. Yeah, so now the easiest and the most fast part of the webinar we had accomplished. Let's check on our preview mode as it work. Yeah, so now when we click, it stop, and we click and it's activated. Yeah, great. So now as we can accomplish our video, let's move on to our ticket. For this, we're gonna reach again our plus in the left top corner, and we need to find layouter. So we will add it to the page. And the next thing we're gonna do, we change our value from mosaic layout to slides, because we're gonna have a ticket that slide inside. For this, we need this kind of layout. The next thing we're gonna do, we need to set the right dimensions of layout according to our ticket image size. Here in my assets, I had prepared some SVG that I use in design. There's SVG vector art. And for this, I need to find out their precise dimension. You can see here, fix here. I will take here. It's 274 on height, 448. So I will take this dimension and I will apply it now on my layout. So make sure that mean width and mean height also set on a 0. And now we will set the width 274 and then width of 414. Yeah, great. And now what we need to do, we just take our ticket, copy and paste inside the layouter. So you can move to this point and we can see the attach notice. Now it's attached. Let's make sure that it's aligned to the centrum and all margins values are set on 0. And the next thing we're gonna do, we go now our layer panel. Let's rename our layouter with ticket, for example, to not lost it. And we're gonna delete other items that we have in layouter, because you see when we slide, there's a lot of different empty items. We don't need it. We just create one item and eventually we will duplicate it and we'll change the content. It's much faster and more effective. And also you can see there is a gray background, so you can go on design panel for item and set background on 0%. So yeah, great. Now we put our SVG inside of item, and now we need to set the grid for our ticket content. So we have the button, text, and for this we need to have 3 rows. Let's set here. For the first row, we will set measurement on 50 pixels. You can click here, or you can go in the right panel of inspector to find out the height measurement of the row. I can go on the pixels and I put on 50 pixels. It's pretty random number because it will be the edge between my button here and the edge of the ticket itself. The third row I will set on 107. This was a precise measurement because when I was creating the SVG file, I measured the height of this white section, so my grid will be the same as my SVG. And the second row, I will set on 1FR. 1FR is a really useful thing. 1FR means that one part of the whole. So one fraction is 100% of all available space that left. So when you have, like, for example, 3 rows and you have a precise measurement, like 50 pixels and 107, and you don't know which measurement you want to put on the rest columns, you can use 1FR. So it will just take all this available space. So now let's put our content. I have here my button text. Let's start with button, copy and paste in the second row. And let's make sure that it's docked to the bottom, or to the top, sorry. And make sure that it's aligned to the center here. Great. Now we will copy our text. And also put it inside of our second row. And now in order to create a distance between the age of the text and the text itself, we just can set also the docking, for example, for 25, 60, and for the small text, also 25. So now it should look good. And the last thing, we're going to copy the small text, and we will put it in our third row. Like this. So now we had created already our ticket. So now we can duplicate it. I go in my layer panel and I click on the more actions, 3 dots, and I click on duplicate. And now when you slide between the ticket, you see there is another ticket inside. Let's change also the value, the color of our vector art. There's also useful trick when you create some SVG and you wanted to download it in editor X and you want to change the colors of your SVG just in editor, just in the panel, to not download your SVG again. You need to download it if you, for example, created in Figma on another editor app. You just need to download it from in Outline. This helps you to change the colors of your SVG inside the side of editor X. So now, as you see, when we scroll between the ticket, there is 2 tickets, but we see there's a scroll bar that we don't like and it's spoil our appearance. It's also really easy to fix. You can click on Layouter, go to Inspector section here, slide a little bit, and there's a Show Scroll Bar tool, and you just switch it off. Now when you slide between them, you can't see it. Okay, now we are creating our inner slide tickets. So let's start also with our sticky state. Let's memorize how it looks. So now when we scroll our whole page, the tickets are following us. This is kind of interaction we're gonna create now. For this, we're gonna add a new section. Click here on the plus, new section, and we will put it above our header. And let's name it ticket sticky. And let's apply in grid with 2 rows. So now we're gonna take our ticket that we have here. Let's change also. I wanna pink one be the first, like pink more. I take my ticket and I will drag it inside our new section. And I will dock it to the right bottom. So when our ticket will be following us, it will be sticked to the right bottom. And let's make sure also in a grid location here that it's in the second row. Yeah. Okay, and also we will set the height of the row on a max content. That means that the height of our row will be the height of the content inside. Great. And the next thing we're gonna do is we set the height of our section to 0 pixels. So we go here, mean height set on unknown, and height set on pixels and 0. So as you can see, now it looks like the section is disappeared and we see only the ticket. It let us do the sticky position. For example, when we will make the section sticky, and the background we will set on a 0 height. So now when we scroll the page, we can see only the ticket itself, but not the section. It's a little trick to how to use a sticky position also. Now let's also set the value for our first row of the section. We go to the spectrum panel here, rows, and here for the first row, we need to set calculation. Here, calculation is not the easiest thing to use, but it's really useful when you do wanna add to your height of your screen some elements. For example, in our situation, it's ticket. So I put 100 VH. 100 VH is set, it's mean that 100% of viewpoint height minus the height of our ticket, 100 pixels, and click. Now let's make sure again that the height set on 0. So now when we see the screen, we scroll the page, we will see the ticket without the gap below. It helps us to show the screen without the height of our ticket itself. And let's also make our section sticky. You can go in the right panel inspector, and in position type, you click on sticky. Great. And the next thing we're gonna do, we will create our hovering out effect. As you can see, when we hover, the collapsed ticket disappeared fully. So for this, we're going to use interactions. It's pretty easy.
Iryna, just before you move on, we do have a question from the chat if you would oblige. Super interesting so far, by the way, thank you. Lots of people are really interested in how you came up with the aesthetic. So we have a question here that just asks, how did you create this color palette? Because it's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks so much. I will come back to my presentation because as I said before, like the main values was young people, bold, creative, and I really like these colors as you see in inspiration, but I like pink a lot and blue. So it was really pretty private to my preferences. And clients also like blue, and I go to the Pinterest and I just try to find as much colorful examples as I can. But it's important in seeking inspiration, don't stick to one color, because it can make a framework to you you need to push your limits. That's why maybe sometimes so crazy colors can be even good decision. So yeah, it's just was a long way of exploration, different inspiration that helped me.
Amazing. Great, thank you. And just a reminder quickly as well, just so we can keep track of all the questions that are coming in, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom. Okay, Iryna, back to you. Thank you.
Okay, we stop on the hover effect. I said it's pretty easy, I hope. So when you click on Layouter and you go on the right panel inspector, click on the layout lightning icon here. It stands for interaction. And you can click on effect and add effect, custom, and start designing. So we remember that in our ticket, it's initially collapsed and it appeared fully on hover. So for this, we need to understand that we need to set the initial state of our ticket. We need to move on our ticket on vertically down. So we click on a design and panel here above, click on initial state, and we need to move our ticket down. For example, on y-axis, we click on 320, and for initial state, 0. So when you will hover, it will appear. Now we click done. And now we need to set the trigger. Which kind of action will trigger this animation? So we add that we want this animation appear on hover, affected element ticket, and effect. Animation is the one that we had created and done. Yeah, so now it should work. And also, as you can see, there's a small distance between the edge of the page and the ticket itself. It's really fast trick that I use in my projects. You can go in the inspector panel here, and you can put the right margin on minus value, for example, -3 pixels. And as you can see, there's no gap now. So if you want to move some objects and you can do it more, you can use a minus value. Now let's see if it works. Fully we can see it in a publish, but let's see the principle of work. If it scroll, let's take a second. Yeah, now as you can see, it follow us, and when we hover, it appear, and inner slides ticket also appear. Great, congratulations, guys! We had accomplished our first part of the webinar. If you have any questions, I will reply you now or later. I don't know. But let's move on to our second part. Second part, we were gonna create a layouter with text and emojis with interactions. And for this, we need to discover structure. So let's go to our presentation to find out. Here we have layouter that set on the bricks, and each item set on a max content, but the emojis set on the VH. I will explain a little bit later why. And also the hover effect here set on the float for emojis, and for text, we just changed the color of the text. So let's move on. I already had prepared here empty section that's divided on a 2 row. First row, we have our little headline, and here we will put our layouter itself. And here I have a text assets that I had created and an emoji that we're gonna use. As you can see, the layouter itself is really it's really big, and it takes a little bit more than 1 hour to do this. So I will just show you the basic principle, and you will use it for your projects. So for this, we're gonna reach for the plus layouter, and we will set our layouter on bricks. This bricks has one aim. So for example, when you have a really short words, it help us to put our short word in the first row, and when you have a long word, we will put it on the second for now, we're gonna dock our layout to the left corner, and we will put the width of the layouter on 100%. That means that it will be the width of our page itself. And let's make sure that all margins is set on a 0. Okay, I'll also make sure that mean width and mean height set on none. Right. And now, as we put our layouter on dimensions, we can put our content inside the items. So we put our text in the first item. Let's also dock it to the left. And make sure that also the item itself has no values, mean width on 0, mean height on 0, and we set the width on the max content. Also make sure that the text also set on the max content. So it will help us to do to create our item the size of the content inside. Now it's not still there, but just because our other item also set on a mean width and mean height, let's make sure there is no, mean width, no, and no. And now, as you can see, the item become the height of our content inside. Let's also get rid of this background, gray background. You can go in design panel and set it on the 0, 0, 0. And the next thing I'm gonna add our emoji. I have here prepared my smiley and I put it in the second row. Okay, and the thing is that now let's see in which value our item is set on percentages. So, for example, if I put it on a pixels, if I go in most bigger screen size, for example, 1920. As you see, our emoji is smaller than the size of our text, but our aim that our emoji will be always the size of our text inside. For this, we're going to use for emojis item viewpoint width. It helps to proportionally grow our emoji on different screen sizes. So, for example, I put on a 4 VH, 29 is too big. And now emoji becomes small, but I need to click on emoji and set the margins on 0, so it can be fully stretched to all sides. Great. And the next thing, we have a handwritten text here. Also, we just take it our text and set inside the next item. Also make sure that it's docked with 0 value, 0. And the item also set on a max content width. Also check that the width of the text also set on the max content. Only in this case it will work. Okay, now as we had created the items content, we can create some hover interactions. As you remember, for the text, we have white hovering effect, and when we hover all layouts, all emojis start to jump and have their own interaction. So let's move on with this. We need to create the effect for item and not for content inside. So we go on interaction mode in inspector panel here. Click on effect, custom, start designing. And we click on item, on text inside our item. And here on the right panel, you can change the color, for example, on the white, yeah. So now if we go to our initial state of the text is black and then become white. So now the interaction is set and we click done. And now we need to set the trigger, like which kind of action will make this interaction work. And click animation and done. Okay, and now let's do it with emoji and then we will check if it works. Click on the item, effect, add an effect. We want to create this kind of interaction when the emoji jump and a little bit grow. We're really lucky because we have here already prepared a kind of interaction. It's called float and grow. Done. And then we remember that the interaction appear not only when I hover on item itself, but when I hover on all layouter. This I need to understand that I need to set another trigger. I need to set trigger on another element. For this, likely we have another feature here, like you go on a, you click on layouter and you click on trigger. So you click on add trigger, hover, and here in affected elements, you need to pick not a layout yourself, but you need to pick the emoji, the one that you want to jump when you hover on the layouter. And here in target element bar, you can see that we pick the right one element and done. And also don't forget to put effect because sometimes I forgot about float and grow and done. So let's check if it works. Let's put on preview. And now, as you can see, when we hover on the text, it's become white, and the emoji grow and jump to whatever element we hover on. And also, it's really cool to, in the first place, to create interaction for element. Because when we copy, for example, element, for example, we go item duplicate, and we will change our text to another brand like Coca-Cola. This is not advertisement, but you can pay me money if you have, of course. And the thing is that all our interaction value are stay still. So like we don't need to apply these all things again. So it's really useful. You just change the content and change the emoji and the values interaction stay the same. So as we already understand the principle, I will, for the finishing touches, when I will show the full page that we created, I will show the original fully layouter, so it look like this. And I will hide this one to not put it on don't display. Don't display. So when we see the full site, and also we will put our assets on don't display. So now we had accomplished with you the second part of layouter, and we move on to the last fun part. It's print in effect ticket. But before moving now to building it, let's find out the structure. So here we have a footer section here. The height of this black section is 95 VH, 95 viewpoint height, and is set on a positions typed sticky. And then we see the empty section here where we put our ticket. It's divided on 2 rows. Our ticket is set inside the first row, which set on max content. And there's also the second row that's set on a 5 VH. Why? Because we have also here a little black section that also has a height 5 VH. Why we need it? Just because when we put our section behind this, we put it on a sticky, and we put this little section on a sticky. So when we scroll the page, we can see that also there's only ticket that's scrolling, but not the background. This help us to create this overlapping ticket printed effect. So now we briefly find out what's the structure. Let's move on to our building. I have prepared already here assets, tickets, copyright, and little line that we're gonna use. And let's add a new section. And let's add the grid for 2 rows. And we will put our ticket in the center of the first row. Let's make sure in our inspector layer panel that it's set on the first row. Okay, and the row height of the row itself is set on a max content. As you remember, max content help us to put the height of our row, the height of the content inside. And now we're gonna add the height for the second section. We put it on a 5 VH. I explain a little bit later why. You will find out, and also make sure that there is no mean height for the section itself. It will add the additional measurement. Now it's okay. So now we're gonna add our little black section from which our ticket will print. We'll go on the plus and seek for container, and we will stretch it. Make it black as the background of our above section here, footer section. Also, we need to put the right height. We'll undock from the button and put 5 VH. It means that the height of this container will depend on the screen size of your computer of VH. 5. Okay, and now we can set the content inside of container. We take our copyright. And put inside. Let's dock it to the bottom left. And set all margins on the 0. And also the same for our little blue line from which our ticket will print inside. And for this, we will align into the center and dock to the top. And in order we have a gap between the content inside of our container and the edge of the page, we're gonna add some padding here. For example, we set 25 for left padding and 25 for right padding, and for bottom, for example, 15. Great. And now we will put our little black container above our ticket, as you can see now, and make it sticky. We go in a position type sticky, and we set the top offset. Top offset, this helps us to make element sticky after we have scrolled a precise distance. Again, 25 inch. In a precise distance, in our situation, we will scroll the page and our black container will start to be sticky after 95 VH. So after we fully scroll our footer section here, the height of this section is 95 VH. So after when we scroll all the section, then our black section becomes sticky. So here we check again our top offset, yeah, 95. this kind of measurement help us to create a printing effect, because our section here also set on a sticky and it will not move, and the black container will not move. The only thing we're going to move this white section with the ticket inside, but the white background we will not see because it's covered. And the last thing we're going to do is, as you can see in an original, when we scroll to the bottom of the page, we see the little tail of our ticket initially. It's collapsed, but not fully. We can see the button. And when we start to scroll, the full ticket is appeared. For this, we're going to set the initial state of the ticket. We go to margins, click on the container with the ticket, and we need to set the minus margins. For example, on a minus 100. And now we can see that the ticket move behind our container section. Even if you go minus 20, you can see there's start printing. But minus 100 is enough because we want to see only the button. And let's make sure that also our bus section is put on a sticky position, sticky with offset. And now you can understand why the second row I put on a 5 page. It's just because I need to create this gap between the edge bottom of the page and the ticket itself. And now, when we had created the last thing in our webinar, let's hide all the assets section, and we will see how everything works. On don't display. And also this section, let's set on don't display. Okay, and now let's publish it so we can see the result. Let's give it a sec. Let's go to list prints. And now, as you can see, there is a video that worked. Now we click at stop or ticket following us through the way or now the effect. There's also the principle of layout, emoji, and text that we have learned with you, and interaction mode, and also printing effect. I hope it's okay. Yeah, now it's okay. So you see it work, and all the background stays sticky, and only the ticket moves. Guys, I hope it was really interesting and educative for you. Thanks so much for listening. And if you have any question, feel free to ask. Thank you for coming. Thank for your attention again. Thanks.
Thank you, Iryna. I can't believe how much you accomplished in 48 minutes. It's very impressive.
Wow, 48. Wow.
Maybe even less, actually, because we were introducing and everything. So thank you so much.
People give me less, you know.
Everybody in the chat is like sending happy emojis and everything. So I think you did a great job. We have a couple of questions for you if you'd be willing. So I know you covered this in one of the sections, but maybe you could just explain it again. So how do you populate the bricks layouter with text and emojis? So like, how do you add those to the layouter?
Can you repeat that question again?
Yeah, how do you populate the bricks layouter with text and emojis? So I think it's this purple section here.
How I put on the bricks, or
how do you add the text and the emojis to the bricks items?
Okay. It's pretty easy. Let's go again to the, where is it? To our editor mode. I lost my editor mode. Where is it?
I'm sure it's there somewhere. No panic, no rush.
Okay, that's fine. When you add a new section, you want to have this brick system, you add a layout, without it, for example. And there's also different layouts for layouter that you can pick. So for mosaic do one thing. It stretch all elements on the full size of your layouter. And when we click on the mosaic, on the bricks, as you see that it not stretch it on a full size, and the smaller text will jump on the first row and the bigger one jump on the second row. Why I use this, not mosaic? Because when I go on, for example, on, oh, I delete not this thing.
That's what undo is for, it's okay.
For example, if I go on lower screens or the biggest screens, I don't want to have gaps between my text here. So when I go on a small text on the bigger screen sizes, if I set this layouter on a mosaic, it will stretch all my items on a full width, and I will not have this nice nice layout like I have here. I will have a gaps, and now you can see there is no gaps, and it's something that bricks help us to do. So if you want to have the same layout of text and emoji across all your screen sizes, you can use bricks. Oh, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, I think you did. We do have a follow-up on that though. So you added interactions to the layouter. And we have a question: how do those work on mobile devices? Because like you can't hover, right? You don't have a cursor.
The thing is that this kind of interaction is a lot of interaction, and for mobile to not treat the performance of mobile, we just switch it off all the interaction like this on a mobile. And this is we also recommend to do in Editor X. Like if you have like really a lot of difficult animation, you'll see that performance of your site not on the great point. You need to rethink about to switch off your animation on the mobile.
Yeah, and you can do that per breakpoint, right?
Yeah,
so like,
I do it per breakpoint. Yeah, for desktop, okay. Like for tablets, also like okay. But sometimes I also put put the out interaction on tablet as on mobile. Yeah, but mainly scrolling text, it's working on a mobile. Yeah, but this kind of hover interaction, they not work on mobile because we don't have a hover.
Yeah. Oh no, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So we had a lot of questions about this. People are wondering what you use in terms of like an application for your design ideations when you're coming up with all these ideas. I guess it's kind of a personal preference thing, right? But like, what do you use?
Again, it's not advertisement and they not pay me money. Figma, I use Figma, and we use an agency. It's this tool for creating and designs. I will not show you the file because it's still mess. Because like you don't need to be ashamed that your design file is mess. It's okay to be designer and make mess in your design file, because without it you can create a maybe cool design, but after you need to clean it. But I always like, it takes a lot of time to do it, and I'm always trying to do it in the last step. Yeah, I use Figma, and from some animation like After Effects, and this animation that you can see here, it's code, and we have a tutorial for this. I think Shiri will send it.
Yeah, I think it's in the chat, but maybe Sherry, we can ask you to just post that tutorial once again for the infinite scroll, please. So we actually have a follow-up just to clarify on that question I asked you about the content in the bricks. How do you add the content in the bricks is the question. So do you have to type everything by hand?
Do you mean the text?
Yes, I think. So
yeah,
like,
for example, you have a let's add a new item. Add item. Okay, now it's gray. And we will add the text here. Sorry, it's become slow. Title. It's here. Okay, and let's make sure that it will be the same font and height that the one that we have here. I don't remember, let's check. (45:100). Let's set on scale text. And which word? Adidas, they also don't pay me.
So you're getting sponsored by Coca-Cola, Adidas, and Figma so far.
I just want to make money, you know. And set it on max content. And also I remember I have some here spacing. Oh, I remember my spacing. Okay, like this. So you add text element, you edit it as you want, and then you have item here. Wait, item here. Let's find out somewhere here. And we need to add our text inside the item, so we can see the notice attach. Let's find out if it's attached to the item. No. Let's go. You see, there's item in a layer panel. It's lost somewhere here. Let's for sure. It's sometimes happening. You just can do like for example, set it on the pixels and to put it like 100. So you can see it now. Yeah. And now again, we will take our text and put inside the item. You can see attach. Yes. And now let's stretch our item to the size our text. Click on item. Yeah, and put width on max content. Let's make sure that also our all margins are set on the 0, because it makes a great deal if they're not set rightfully. Sorry, it's stuck a little bit.
It's a lot of items. It's just figuring it out.
It's my life. I will refresh the page.
Just while that's working, can you just
now it work.
Oh, now it's working. Okay, I have a question when you're done.
Yeah. And you also just it's okay, it's now work, and now you just take off the background of item. You click on the item. Of course, now it's not okay. No. Wait. You click on the item and you go on the design panel. Please go to the design panel. Okay, I will do again. Let's take a second.
Sure.
Oh, we finished. We just need to take off the background. I hope I replied to the question. You just
I think you did.
Drag it inside the item.
Yes. Can you just duplicate one of those text items as well if you want to keep all the same formatting, or do you have to do each one?
Yeah, you can duplicate, but as I say during the webinar, it's easy to make one if you want to have interaction inside of your layout, or like as we have with text that become white. It's better to do an item with text to make the interaction and then copy the item, because you can change the text container, but the interaction is stay the same because it's set on the item.
Right.
And you don't need to do this again, so it will take less time, and it's really useful.
That makes sense. Okay, great. Thank you. Maybe we'll do one last really quick question. How did you get the pink ticket to hide behind the big scrolling grow banner? Oh, she seems to have left us. I'll just ping her very quickly and see. Probably accidentally press close Zoom instead of go back to Zoom. Really a cliffhanger about the question about the pink ticket scroll, but hopefully we'll get Iryna back in just a minute. Don't think we've run out of Zoom time just because we're all still here. Perhaps she got disconnected. I'll take the time in a minute just to tell you that we'll be sending out a recording if you do want to go back over any of the steps that she took in the demo. I know there were a lot of things covered there, and you might want to either like try it yourself or revisit them in the future. So we'll send that out, and you can also find it on our webinars page on the EditorX page itself. I don't know if all you guys can see, but Iryna's computer died. So one of the oldest ones in the book. So she's just grabbing the charger. She'll be back in 1 minute. Yes, and somebody also pointed out there that she mentioned an answer to the question about showing the pink ticket on a reveal. So it will be available in the recording as well if we don't have time to cover it. But I would like to say goodbye to her. So we'll just give her another minute to join us. And there's one actually here, a question that I can cover off. Somebody asked what it looks like on mobile. You can actually view the live site. So Sherry, if you're still there, please could you just paste the URL for the website in again, please? And if you guys like want to view it on your own mobile device, or you can just like resize your browser window and you'll be able to see it on smaller viewports. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll give her another 30 seconds, but otherwise I will send her all of your compliments, and we'll follow up with any questions that are left open afterwards as well. But thank you all for coming. Now I get time to talk directly to you. Thank you all for coming and joining us, and hopefully you learned something valuable. Okay, folks. I don't think we're getting her back, unfortunately. What a pity. But again, thank you for joining us. And just finally, we'll send you the recording. If you have any additional aspects of EditorX you want to check out editorx.com/academy. And otherwise, just thanks so much for your time. We really hope you enjoyed it, and we really enjoyed speaking with you and going through the website with you. And all that's left to say is see you in the next one.